Where in Europe were you born?
I was born in East Germany, but my family came from the Czech Republic, which was really Bohemia, Czech Republic at that time. Yeah, after the war in '45, they were, the misplaced people were asked to leave. Not asked to leave, they were ordered to leave, and they were put into a train car. They took all of the they could take nothing with them, just what they had on their body.
Mm.
These were my brothers and sisters, and my mom, and they herded us all into a train and a train station. My father was already gone, so my mother was highly pregnant with me, and as they were traveling with the train car, it stopped in Basel, not Basel, it stopped in Dresden. And they got out, and my mother started to get contractions, and my brother found a cloister, and where the nuns were, and he knocked on the door, and that's
a cloister is like a convent, right?
A convent, yes, it was a convent, and where nuns were, and that's where she gave birth. I just always get emotional over that part. And she was allowed to be there like 3 days, but in the meantime, the rest of the family, was still in where the train was. They had like a blanket. There was thousands and thousands of people. Then my brother went, even before that, door to door and see if somebody had clothes or some baby clothes, because they had no clothes. So there was a woman that had just lost a child maybe 6 months before that, and she gave my brother everything. She gave her all the clothes that she had. But in the meantime, the borders were closed. So East Germany was now communist, and West Germany was occupied by the Americans and the English, and they didn't really, you couldn't like travel from one side to the other anymore. And so my mother, the Red Cross found our family. They found my uncle in Hamburg, my father in Bad Nauheim, and who was a teacher and translated for the American forces. So through the Red Cross, they found us. I was a year and a half old.
How did your father get separated from your mom in the first place?
Well, because he was an officer, and he was an officer in the Czech army, and then they took him into the German army, and he just went over the border and was over with the American forces and somehow connected with the American side, and ended up in Bad Nauheim. And so a year and a half later, when the Red Cross found us, it took my mother another 6, 7, 8, 9 months to even get out of East Germany in order to be united with my dad. And our lifestyle for the first 5 years was, my mother worked in a hospital, and it was a Christian hospital, and because she worked there, she was able to get a room. And so in that room was her, my grandmother, my father. If you know, hospital rooms were very narrow and small, and me, and my grandmother, my father's mother, and my father.
All in one room? All
in one room. And my father rented a room in town over a leather shop, and he lived there with my oldest brother. And Inge, my sister, who was 10 years older, and my brother, who was 4 years older, Dieter, they had to go and live in an orphanage because there wasn't enough room. So that went on until 1949, I think 1950. Anyway, my family finally got an apartment big enough in Bad Nauheim for all of our family. Until I met your grandfather, and I met him, and that's what brought me to the United States. I did go to photography school. You had a different kind of school system, so I went to photography school, and I got my profession, and I've always worked in my profession. But in 1974, 75, I decided, actually, your Opa decided that we should go on our own, and so we went in our own business. And I've always loved what I did, and that's the rest of the story.
This is the street that my grandma grew up in Germany. She studied photography all of her life there. She met my grandpa, who was from the United States but stationed in Germany, and married him and decided to move back to the United States. Her flight took her through New York to Florida. Eventually, she started her own photography business, which she still has today.